People are probably going to curse at me for this next segment that we're going to say. I don't know. I think my bold predictions are pretty fun. But Jesse and I decided that after MLB.com boldly predicted that the Arizona Diamondbacks were going to get back to the World Series and win it all, God bless you, Anthony Castrovince, we decided we would do some bold predictions of our own for the 2024 season. So, Jesse, do me a favor. You want to kick things off with your first bold prediction?
I will do that. So my first bold prediction for the Diamondbacks in 2024, I think it's pretty bold. I don't think it's outrageously bold, but I think it's pretty bold. Okay. Ketel Marte will finish top 10 in NL MVP voting. Top 10. He has finished top 10. I thought these
were bold takes, not just facts.
Yeah.
That's a spoiler, Jesse. That's not a prediction.
Right. Of course.
You know that.
Ketel Marte finished 4th in MVP voting in 2019. That, of course, was an enormous breakout season for him.
Yeah.
The baseball in 2019 was wild and crazy and went over the fence a lot. But despite that, Ketel Marte was still very, very good relative to the rest of the league. He hit 32 homers that year.
He almost hit 300.
Hit 329, I think it was. He had an extraordinary 2019 season. I don't know if I see him getting quite back to that point.
What happened? I have a question. What happened during the pandemic? Like, we had Ketel just hitting 320 regularly, it felt like, prior to that. And then, and it's not just Ketel. It's like all offense is, not as good ever since then, unless you're talking about Luis Ariz, of course. But, this was crazy the way that, when you look back at some of those numbers from, 2010 to 2019, how much offense has kind of dropped off where you just don't see guys with the crazy numbers that they had at one point. I don't know. I like to blame
2019 in particular was definitely a season where the baseball. Yeah, I don't know if the 32 homers that Ketel hit that year was ever going to be sustainable, but it was an extraordinary season for him. 2021, he came back, had a 909 OPS, hit 318. He didn't play as many games. He was hurt for a good portion of that season. But given what we saw from Ketel last year, an 844 OPS in the regular season, how much he upped the ante in the playoffs and got even better, the NLCS MVP, what we've seen from him in spring training, I feel pretty good about being bullish on Ketel Marte in 2024. I almost went top 5 in MVP voting. I kind of decided that was just a little bit too far out of bounds for me, but top 10 I think is still bold and something that I could still see happening given what we've seen from Ketel recently.
Out of bounds for him. Did you hear that? We are talking about bold takes, and he couldn't bring himself to go that far.
Do you want me to just say he'll win the MVP? Is that the
yes,
only
that's
acceptable
the
answer
that's
here?
What we're talking about. I don't see Rattlebacks has a bold prediction. He says Jesse actually drives a Kia. That's a bold prediction. How dare he? It's a Honda. Anyway,
I was going to say
it's definitely not a RAV4.
I was going to say that I think Ketel will start at second base in the All-Star game, but I think that's even less bold.
Yeah, I actually do think that might be less bold.
Yeah.
There's not as much. I mean, it's Ariz, it's Ozzie Albies. I don't think the path for him to start at second base is all that difficult, even though he wasn't even an all-star last year, which kind of seems crazy in retrospect.
Get out of my way. I have a bold prediction to take.
Okay, give me something that's actually bold. What do you got?
Blaze Alexander will not only make the opening day roster for the Arizona Diamondbacks, but he will become a household name in 2024. Maybe just in Arizona, but still a household name in 2024. Blaze Alexander. That's what I'm saying. Breakout year. He's going to take over at shortstop. He's going to be incredible.
I think Damon hates you.
I understand that. That's why it's a bold take. It's a bold take to say it in front of Damon while he's sitting here producing our show, because this man could easily sabotage us right now. He's crazy right now. Damon, stay over there. Stay over there. Calm down.
Hey guys, I had to mute Derek. Sorry, I didn't want him to continue spewing this horse shit on our airwaves.
All right, well, there's that.
So that's not very concrete though. He's gonna become a household name. How do we measure that? I need some numbers. I need something more concrete than that.
And he had a chance to attack me for it prior to this, but no. Now he waits until on the show. That means he's going to become a star in 2024. How many guys on the Arizona Diamondbacks team emerged as stars last year, right? Gabby Moreno. I'm not going to say Corbin Carroll because everybody loved Corbin Carroll. They were just waiting for him to pop off, right? But Jerry P., right, became an all-star last year. He went from a guy that most people in other cities would not even know to becoming an all-star, right? And
sure,
you can factor in what happened during the postseason that gave them that exposure as well. So that's a little different. But maybe that's what I'm talking about with Blaze. Maybe Blaze has his big moment in the postseason this year and becomes a star. I just think he has star potential written all over him, and that's the reason why I've been advocating so much. I hate what it means for Perdomo. I hate what it means for everything else. But really at the end of the day, what we want is the best absolute player playing for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And I think Blaze Alexander could be that.
Yeah. I mean, so you're basically saying like Blaze Alexander is going to have a breakout season, not necessarily like, oh, he's going to hit 300 or whatever, but that's just like he's going to do maybe what like Perdomo did last year, where he really burst on the scene and became an everyday player.
I would say almost more like Gabby. Like, I feel like Gabby is a little bit more of a star with Arizona sports fans, especially non-baseball fans, than Perdomo.
Blaze is definitely like, if Blaze were an everyday player, I could definitely see fans gravitating toward him for sure. I mean, he has an incredible baseball name, and he has a cannon of an infield arm. So, okay. All right. Yeah, that's good.
All right, go. Number 2 for you.
I have, maybe this one isn't that bold. I'm kind of curious how you guys feel about this. My second bold prediction is that Merrill Kelly will finish higher in Cy Young voting than Zach Gallen.
That could have been possible last year.
Merrill Kelly has never appeared on a Cy Young ballot.
Right.
Last year he did not get a single vote.
Right.
Crazy.
Which, yeah, I mean, you could maybe make an argument that he should have. I think the fact that he missed a few starts.
The cramping, the blood clot issue.
If Merrill Kelly has 210 innings like Zach Gallen did last year, maybe he does. Maybe he does take some of those votes. But yeah, that's just from what we saw last year in the playoffs in particular with Merrill, the way that he just shined when the moment was brightest. Projection systems continue to not like Merrill Kelly, but I think people who watch this team on a day-to-day basis understand that he just knows how to pitch. And it's hard for me to say that like what the computers say doesn't matter at all, because that's so anti everything deep within me.
Yeah, I know it is. But let me remind you that Fangraphs has said with the addition of Jordan Montgomery that the Diamondbacks are going to win less than one more baseball game. Your computers are stupid, Jesse.
84.
Throw them in the trash. Throw the entire thing in the trash. The entire website goes in the trash when you tell me adding Jordan Montgomery adds less than one win to the Diamondbacks total. Get out of here. None of this makes sense anymore. You guys don't even make sense. What is WAR good for anymore, huh? Absolutely nothing. But
it really is one win. Yeah, I think before Fangraphs projected win total for the D-backs was like 83.2 or 83.3. Now it's 84.4. Their chance to make the playoffs went from like 45% to 51%. It's wild how like stubborn the computer is. But yes, Merrill Kelly, I would not be surprised at all if Merrill Kelly came out and had a breakout season. And that's not to say Zach Gallen is going to be poor this season.
Nor does it mean Merrill Kelly's really having a breakout season. It's just more about him getting noticed, right? Like, it's more about him maybe being a little bit better than he was last year, which would absolutely be enough for him to be in that conversation for the Cy Young Award.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he had a better ERA than Zach Gallen.
Yeah,
I don't know if did he end the year with a better ERA? Because I know at one point he did. Yeah. So,
3.29 compared to 3.47 for Gallen. So yeah, it's not like insanely bold. But the fact that he's never been on a Cy Young ballot before, I still think it's fairly bold.
All right. My bold take, number 2. You guys are gonna like this one. The Arizona Diamondbacks are gonna win 95 games and the National League West.
Wow.
The division.
Wow.
The division. Yeah, I'm saying it. The Diamondbacks, 95, maybe even 95 plus wins, Jesse, and the National League West Division. The Dodgers, they got too much shit going on over there, man. They're like, you saw Mookie Betts try to make that throw at shortstop like he was Derek fucking Jeter. Get out of here with that. Here,
Jesse,
I'm gonna put my money
generationally
in there now.
bad infield.
Generationally bad.
It's going to be bad.
I do not.
It's nasty.
I'm not worried about Mookie Betts and shortstop. Let me tell you, I'm not worried about this Dodgers team. They have their own battles that they're fighting. I think this is going to be one of those years where you absolutely, even though all the pressure is on them, and rightfully so, because their team looks extraordinary, that pressure might be too much for them.
I'm trying to figure out what I think is more bold. The Diamondbacks winning 95 games or the Dodgers winning less than that?
Yeah. Well, I
think both of those things in and of themselves are pretty bold.
I feel like with the competition level in the National League West and how often we have to play each other, it's not out of the question to say that the Dodgers lose more games than we anticipate to teams like the Padres and the Giants, and especially the Snakes.
Yeah.
All right.
That's bold.
Final bold prediction from you?
That is bold.
I covered mine up. I'm not letting you know this last one.
Okay. All right. My third one is that Alek Thomas will have an OPS of over 800.
I love it.
Which I think is pretty bold. That is pretty bold.
We would be damn good if he does that.
Alec Thomas, that would be a full-on breakout season.
Like
I know, an 800 OPS is maybe not that's not necessarily star level performance, but with how good of a center fielder, Alec Thomas is, if he had an OPS north of 800, he would immediately become one of the best center fielders in all of baseball. And he was good in the playoffs. I think D-backs fans generally have a fairly positive view of him given how young he is. But the reality from a numbers standpoint is that he's had a 75 OPS plus on the dot in both of his seasons in the majors. It was 75 in 2022. It was 75 again in 2023. He still has a lot to prove, but we've seen him make some adjustments this spring. He's done, I think, a better job of kind of staying closed rather than flying open toward the first base side, which seemed to cause him to roll over a whole bunch last year. We saw a lot of 4-3 groundouts. We haven't seen quite as much of that in spring training. So, yeah, I mean, and also just the fact that he has, almost 1,000 major league plate appearances under his belt. Not everyone comes to the majors and rakes instantly. It can take some time, and this could be the year where Alec Thomas really, emerges into a very, very good baseball player.
I don't know if my final bold take is a good thing if it happens or a bad thing, but my final bold take is that Gabriel Moreno will lead the Arizona Diamondbacks in home runs.
Wow.
Isn't that insane, Jesse? That's the one I was like, Derek, you're crazy, dude.
You're crazy for this one. First of all,
if he has more bombs than Christian Walker or Eugenio Suarez, I'd be shocked.
Is 32 home runs that out of the the question for Gabriel Moreno?
Yes, I think so.
Is it
32? Probably.
Is 32?
Yeah, 32 seems like a stretch, but not. I mean, it's not really that.
If they had a better option at backup catcher, I would think maybe, but I'm not.
Give me 25.
Playing time is going to be a big factor there because, regardless of what the backup catcher situation looks like or how good it is, they're not going to play Gabby Moreno more than probably 120 games in 2024. If you're hitting 30 bombs in 120 games, that is insane level production. I mean, you're like a true 40 home run hitter at that point.
It's like Gabby and Adley Rutschman are the two top catchers in the league if that happens.
Elise gets where I'm going with, because she's suggesting not that Gabby is going to hit 35, but more that he's going to lead the team with 24, and that's going to be a bad thing.
If that happened, it is far more likely it would be a very bad thing than a very good thing, because there's a lot of guys on this team that could hit 20, 30 homers, right? Ketel Marte, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., Christian Walker, Gino Suarez, Corbin Carroll. There's a lot of guys that I am projecting to hit more. Alec Thomas, 800 OPS doesn't necessarily mean 30 bombs, but I think I don't think that would necessarily be a good thing. But yes, could Gabby hit 20 home runs in 2024? I think he could. I'm not expecting it, but I think that Gabby Moreno has the raw power ability to do that. Yeah. It's just a matter of what kind of approach. The playing time and what kind of approach he takes at the plate.
Because he could go back to taking what's given to him, and that's not terrible, because this team is going to be able to generate base runners. I mean, power probably is going to be the problem. Not nearly as much, though, as it was last year, because they've added some power. They've added some pop here with Gino and Jock Peterson and the names they've added, even Grandal Grichuk. So, I mean, these guys are going to contribute in ways that are going to make this team a better team offensively. But I think the idea here is that you're right. Gabby does focus more on what gave him success last year offensively at the plate. Yeah, it was more of the Gabby Lane, hits versus it being.
That's what it was in like the first half of the season, and then in the second half, after he returned from the shoulder injury and into the playoffs, we saw a different version of Gabby Moreno, where he was tapping into that power more. I don't think 20 homers is totally impossible.
All right, well, we appreciate you guys. We love your bold takes.
Can I throw in a couple?
I would love to.
What do you got, Dan?
I think Kevin Ginkel makes the All-Star game.
Okay.
Wow. Someone said 20 saves before the All-Star game.
Yeah, a couple of the chats really been like, we're on like telekinesis right now. Like I'm thinking the same thing, because my last one was Ryan hit it on the money. Ohtani goes to federal prison.
Oh my God.
That's number 3.
I mean, it's the reason why they wanted him to walk back that comment about the wire transfers, or at least, what was interesting about that, speaking of that, I know we don't want to talk about the Ohtani situation anymore, but the wildest part about Ohtani discussing, in the press conference that day, when things like were off with with his interpreter explaining everything to him was when they were having the team meeting. That's wild to me that was the moment where like he was maybe picking up enough from him talking to the team in English for him to realize that he was lying about what he was saying or whatever. I don't know. This whole situation, much like Jake said, has me feeling very much like a conspiracy theorist when we know what happens. That's all going to get swept under the rug and no one's going to get any. The only guy that's going to suffer anything here is the guy that probably should, which is eBay. But we're not going to talk about that anymore. We got opening day, and last time I checked, Ohtani does not play for the Rockies. So we're focusing right now on the Rockies and then the Yankees, much to Jake's dismay.